Welcome. Recently, I mentioned that lifestyle is an anglicism of life and style. So style. It simply means living in all aspects of one's life according to an ideology or, as is the case here, according to an aesthetic. It means that one does not limit oneself to consuming visual elements. Although of course all of that can be part of it. It also means imitating what one sees on the screen, in photographs, and applying it to oneself. It means dressing in more or less the same way as everyone else in the photos, that is to say, wearing dresses made of natural fibers and of course shoes that are not sneakers. Having a natural look, that is to say, not wearing too much makeup, having long hair, or in any case having slightly romantic hairstyles like braids. It also means daring to go beyond the clothing aspect to what a classic living space looks like for the type of apartment. In this case, we call it being an urban cottage style, and I'll come back to that. But even that involves owning certain things. For example, a preference for vintage mobile homes, oil lamps, pretty fantastic porcelain and glass dishes, having flowers and also a few plants. I'll come back to the fact of being able to live like this in the city later. As for everything that one can own in this case, I could talk about it again if you want, but in a more dedicated video. Of course, it's better to have the place to live for that, but also to do activities related to this aesthetic. By that, we mean gardening, making a lot of things yourself like canning or making your own clothes. This means knowing how to embroider, sew, crochet, and so on. It can also involve knowing how to play music, sing, paint, write poems, and so on. You can also collect things like pretty pebbles, shells, or make herbariums of dried flowers that you pick up along the way while walking in nature. This is also important in your lifestyle. You can live in two ways, whether you're really in the countryside or more in the city center. It's possible in both cases, but it's obviously easier in the first one. Although it's not mandatory, many lifestyles are also eco-friendly, vegetarian, or even vegan. You can also, although this applies more to those who live in the city center, enjoy secondhand stores and bookstores, preferably vintage ones, to stock your library because nothing is more romantic than reading a book that has this aesthetic. You can also go to a park if you don't have a forest or garden nearby. There are of course also certain chain stores that you can frequent, such as Nature at Découverte. This lifestyle can apply to everyone, since it mainly concerns women, apparently, but I will come back to that too, who also have a style that favors this aesthetic from a clothing point of view, such as doe-like or moire. You are probably wondering what it is. I think it is time for me to put together a new playlist. It is dedicated to alternative fashions. First, the one related to the body, always. But then why not talk about other things? Finally, in terms of mood, the lifestyle one often strives to always be serene, always generous with the eyelashes as soon as you walk through the door. She prepares you a herbal tea and offers you to leave with homemade cookies. Of course, it also means being a calm person overall. All this is called slow living, literally living slowly. By slow living, I mean that instead of rushing around, we peacefully watch the days go by while doing activities like the ones I described earlier. But I will come back to all of this soon. Such a pace is difficult today. It can obviously be considered a luxury. But I will come back to that too.